Is back into it in Chester. Here's El Senior. Yes! Yes!
The center back, Jacob Glesnes, is going for it.
Oh my God! What a goal! And that will do it! One of the best comebacks in recent years. 3 unanswered by the Union. And they go into the Gold Cup break, winning it 3.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. Well, what a gift it was from the Union. They have given us fans this morning, afternoon, whatever day you're listening to this episode. They gave us a great game. We picked up our first win in the regular season, which gives us 4 points for the regular season. And we picked up a win against probably our toughest opponent in Group A, in my opinion, for the MLS is Back tournament. So that puts us tied in first place with Orlando City, who narrowly beat Inter Miami on Wednesday night. 2-1 with Nani scoring in the 96th minute, I believe it was. I don't know how many people were staying up for that game. Probably not a lot and everything because it wasn't our boys in blue and everything. But it is always good to watch people in our group and everything to pay attention to what we're going to be coming up against and everything. And, you know, we've seen plenty of Orlando City over the years and everything. And for the most part, we've had the number and everything. And into Miami, we know nothing about them and everything. And I'll go over the new schedule, the new bit of news and everything. But before I dive into the news, giving my thoughts on the game and everything, giving Blunder of the Week. Yes, Blunder of the Week is back. And if you're a new listener, I'll explain what Blunder of the Week is a little bit later in the show and everything. So sit tight for that. But before we get into all that, I just want to remind you guys that our Union 2020 jersey giveaway has started as of July 9th. So that is the day that we play New York City. And here's everything you need to know about the giveaway in case you didn't hear it last episode. So here are the 3 ways to enter the giveaway. You have to first leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Search The Free Kick, Todd Lewis. Show a screenshot of your review. That will give you 2 entries. The second way, tag a friend on the post. That will give you 1 entry. And then retweet this post, and that will also give you 1 entry. So there's a maximum of 4 entries per people. The winner has 24 hours to claim his or her prize after the drawing. If the 24 hours pass without the winner claiming their prize, then we'll redraw a new winner. And finally, this is the most important rule, guys. To be eligible for the jersey giveaway, you have to be following the Twitter account at Free Kick Pod. If you're not following that account and you did all 3 of those entryways and everything, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the giveaway. You have to be following the Free Kick Podcast account on Twitter to be eligible. Like I said last episode, the giveaway, it runs from July 9th through August 9th and everything. As soon as we get to August 10th, we will do the drawing and everything, and whoever wins it, wins it. So, again, good luck to you guys and everything for who are taking advantage of this awesome giveaway and everything, because, you know, I want to give back to you guys. You know, you guys are giving me a lot by listening to the podcast and everything, listening to what I have to say. You guys have given me great feedback. Don't stop giving me that feedback and everything. And, you know, yeah, I don't really understand the whole algorithm on Apple Podcasts, but I do know, you know, the more reviews you have, the higher you go up on the podcast charts and everything. So the higher I can get up there, you know, the more giveaways I can do for you guys and everything. Because, you know, I want to give back to you guys like you guys are giving back to me by listening to the show and interacting with one another. But nonetheless, let's just go straight into the news. So first off, we're going to start with Stephen Goff of the Washington Post. So according to Stephen, and speaking with several folks around MLS, the league is aiming for an additional 18 to 22 regular season matches per club in home markets starting mid/late August. The pandemic will dictate plans, especially on that timetable. So that tweet came out July 6th, and I know I've released podcasts after July 6th and everything, but I didn't talk about that and everything just because I had guests on and whatnot. So I want to bring that up, you know. Like I said earlier, you know, that's a big win for the Union for the regular season. That gives us our first win of the regular season. But not only that, it gives us 3 points in the group, ties us with Orlando. I'm looking forward to the regular season to return and everything. I don't think fans are going to be in the stadium. If they are, it's definitely not going to be at full capacity and everything. I definitely want to go to Subaru Park and meet all of you guys that I've had on the podcast, the people that I've interacted with Twitter, or maybe, I haven't met you guys yet, but you guys are listening to the podcast. I would love to meet you guys and hand out stickers and everything for your support of the podcast. But honestly, I just, if we're going to be at Subaru Park this season, it's going to be at like 10-15% capacity at most and everything. But I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens and everything. It's no telling what's going to happen because it's a crazy time that we're living in and everything. And the next bit of news, according to Mark Burns of Sports Business Journal, he said Charlotte will unreveal their team name and branding on July 22nd. The club announces. Now, again, no, this is not Union news and everything. And it's like, why do we care and everything? I just think, and anytime you get a new league and the league, you get a new team in the league and everything, I think it's always a cool thing to see, what's your name going to be? What are you stealing from Europe, whatnot? What are you going to put FC in your name? Are you going to be United something? So that's what I love about the Union, the Philadelphia Union. They're not Philadelphia FC, Philadelphia United. They're not stealing from Europe and everything. They're their own thing and everything. And that's, you got to give credit to Philadelphia Union for just not doing the typical MLS thing where it feels like half the teams in the league are either a United or an FC. So shout out to the Union always. And the next bit of news is, according to Stefano Frizzario of ESPN, Inter Miami defender Andres Reyes, who was carted off Wednesday night following a scary injury. Reyes was evaluated at a hospital but was released. He returned to the hotel where he is in isolation pending a COVID-19 test because he was forced to leave the bubble. Now, this is good that he was able to leave the hospital. This is bad because Inter Miami, right now, they're kind of short in depth of the center back department. So that's good news for the Union because they do play the Inter Miami next, and we'll get into the schedule in the next bit of news that I talk about and everything. But if you guys didn't watch that game Wednesday night against Orlando City and Inter Miami, Reyes was hit in the throat by Dom Dwyer of Orlando City, and it was a pretty scary scene and everything, not going to lie, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the episode and everything, but I'm not going to spend too much time on that and everything, because the last bit of news I want to talk about is MLS has released a statement, and that statement is as followed. We have withdrawn Nashville SC from the MLS's back tournament due to the number of positive tests. The club has been unable to train since arriving in Orlando and would not be able to play in matches. Chicago Fire FC had moved from Group A to Group B in MLS's back tournament to join San Jose Earthquake, Seattle Sounders, and the Vancouver Whitecaps. The new Union schedule, this is where it affects the Union. In case you've been living under a rock, don't know what group the Union are in. They are indeed in Group A, where they were the only group that had 6 teams in it, while everybody else had 4 teams and everything. Well, now the tournament's going back to a regular World Cup schedule formation, and there are 4 teams in every group. And so the new Union schedule looks like this. July 14th, which is a Tuesday, the Union will take on Inter Miami at 10:30 p.m. on Tuden. July 20th, which is a Monday, the Union will take on Orlando City at 8 p.m., which is also on Tuden. And I believe MLS said that all the Tuden games will be on Twitter in English. So if you don't have that channel and everything, you can go and watch the game on Twitter and everything. I'm not a fan that you got to watch games on Twitter and everything. I know myself, I do not have that channel, so I can't watch it on TV and everything. So got to resort to Twitter and everything. Hopefully make the screen bigger and everything and watch it on the big screen. But, that's first world problems, I guess we're living in, right? So, I'm just living the tough life over here, right, everybody? But so that is the Union's new and improved schedule. It sucks that Nashville unable to even get a chance to play. I know The Athletic reported that the players voted Wednesday night that they want to continue in the tournament, but MLS said, yeah, you guys have had, I think it was 9 positive tests and everything, and it's just not worth exposing you guys to the rest of the bubble and everything. So Nashville and Dallas are out of the tournament, and like I said, the Union's new schedule is July 14th, a Tuesday against Inter Miami at 10:30 p.m., and July 20th, the Union take on Orlando City at 8 p.m. Not a fan at all at the 10:30 p.m. game because if you watch the first 2 games of the tournament, you'll see that the games don't start exactly when they're supposed to start. So this 10:30 game is going to be an 11 o'clock game on a Tuesday. Not looking forward to it at all and everything. I might watch the first 45 minutes and then watch the next 45 minutes after work, something like that. I don't know. I mean, that LAFC game, that was a crazy game we all know about now. A lot of us said, yeah, we'll watch the first half and everything and go to bed and catch the highlights of something Monday morning. But that was a crazy LAFC game, and we all stayed up that night. So maybe this Inter Miami game will be as crazy, and we will not be getting any sleep at all. But that is the bit of news I want to give you guys and everything. So let's go ahead and talk about this NYCFC versus Philadelphia Union game, which we know the Philadelphia Union come away with a 1-0 victory. I'm going to go ahead and just give my overall thoughts real quick. I'll give the good, the bad, and then I'll wrap it all up, and we'll go into Blunder of the week, and that'll be the episode, guys. So first off, let me just give my thoughts. Like I said, I thought it was an overall good game from the Union after 4 months. Let's be honest. Andres and I, we both talked about this last episode and said both of these teams like to press and everything, but honestly, with a flood of heat, they're probably not going to be pressing that much. If they press, it's barely going to be anything. And we saw in this game, both teams barely pressed and everything, and it was to be expected. I think going forward, it's going to be like that for the Union. We know they're a team that loves the press and everything. It worked so well for them last season. But when you're facing the flood of heat, the humidity, you're not going to put the extra strain on the players and everything. So you've got to find new ways to win. Having Santos, Vutin, and Galena pick up knocks in training, and they weren't able to even make the bench this game, that was a little bit concerning for me. So that meant that the Union were forced to play El Senior as a second striker, which we know didn't really work out this game. I know there are still people out there that want El Senior to start, but look, we've seen it in the past. El Senior is more effective coming in off the bench at the 60th minute, running at tired legs, and I get it. Without Santos, we needed someone to make runs out wide so it could open up space in the middle, which it did. It did at times open up space for Brendan Aronson or Bedoya to run into in the middle, but El Senior, he has no Sergio Santos where he's going to be running around like a headless chicken where he just has wheels for days, and it just didn't work out for El Senior. I know we saw in the preseason that Jim Curtin experimented with it against Inter Miami, I believe it was, and the Union did come away with a win, and it is preseason, so just do with that as you will. But unfortunately, it hurt not having Santos, Vutin, or Galena as options. So that meant that we only had Jack DeVries as our only forward option on the bench, which luckily we didn't need him. But we did see Jack make his debut for the Union and everything, and we didn't need to chase a goal. We didn't need to force a goal. He just came in, did his job. He ran at tired legs, and love to see guys come through the academy and make their debut and everything. And there's a guy that Jim Curtin's been talking up since they've been down in Orlando, said he's looked good in training. This is a guy who's going to get minutes in the tournament. And I don't think this is the only time we'll see Jack play in the preseason. With having 5 subs, it gives us plenty of chances to see Jack. And I think, he didn't hurt us, and he didn't, do anything that stood out for me. He did his job, and he helped protect the 1-0 lead, and that's all you can ask for him. I thought the defense was just really, really good. I was really impressed with them, honestly. I think Mark McKenzie had himself a really, really big game. According to WhoScored.com, they gave Mark McKenzie a 7.1 match rating. Mark won 2 aerial duels, made 2 tackles, had 6 clearances. He had 1 block this game. He looked extremely fit as well, I thought. He looked sharp. I mean, he had himself a really good game. 7.1, I think that's a fair match rating. I might have given him a little bit of a match rating. If you had asked me, I think the man of the match would have went Andre Blake, Bedoya, McKenzie, but maybe you guys throw in Jamil Montero in there. Maybe you guys put in Jack Elliott, who also had a big game. I mean, defensively, the Union were really, really good. And we heard, and this was surprising to me, how many of you guys knew this was going on at all? I know I didn't. And then Taylor Twellman just drops a bomb and says, yeah, Celtic, they're all over Mark McKenzie. And that's great news for the Union, because if Mark McKenzie, guys, if the performance we saw against New York City, if he can keep that up throughout this whole tournament, through the rest of the season, if we get a regular season, he will be sold this winter. And Celtic, I mean, they're a big club and everything. Now, granted, the Scottish Premier League's not a huge league, but it is playing European football. Celtic, for the most part, they're playing in the Champions League. Now, granted, they're not going far in the Champions League, so more times than not, they're playing in the Europa League after they get knocked out of the Champions League. But still, that's the first time I've heard Mark McKenzie linked to a club over in Europe. And he said they're all over him. He said scouts are looking at him heavy and everything. And I think that's great for the Union. And maybe that explains why they brought in Jacob Glesnes over the winter, where, yeah, as fans, we knew Mark McKenzie would potentially be sold in a couple of years, but we didn't know what teams could potentially be looking at him. And then Taylor Twellman just says, oh, Celtic, they're looking at him, and they're looking at him. They're all over him. So if Mark McKenzie can keep it up, if he can continue to shine, well, this will be the last season, in my opinion, that we'll see of Mark McKenzie, which is a great thing and everything. I know we're sad just thinking about, man, we're losing our good players and everything. We're losing our young players. But honestly, I've said it before, if we can develop these guys. Jim Curtin, I think, said it in his press conference today, or he said it in the past. He's like, if I'm doing my job, if Brendan Aaronson's doing his job, then he'll be playing in Europe and everything. Both of us have to do our job because he has that much talent. And we know Mark McKenzie has that much talent as well. And yeah, you never like losing your good players, but if you get $5+ million for Mark McKenzie, the Union are going to take that every day. Maybe they're invested into another young player in Europe where they'll come over and develop with the Union and have themselves a good year or two and then get sold back to Europe. And maybe that money goes into the academy. Who knows? But yes, it sucks. We all know it sucks, and it's going to be a sad day when we lose Mark McKenzie and Brendan Aronson. But, that means that the system's working. We're developing good talent, and teams over in Europe respect what we're doing, and that's only going to draw younger players from Europe over to the Union. Older players, I hate it being called a retirement league, MLS. But, Union fans, they die for a DP signing. They die for a superstar. So, that money you might get from Mark McKenzie, maybe you can invest that money into a superstar. I don't know. So it was a great game from Mark McKenzie. I'll throw it out there. I've always critiqued Andre Blake whenever I got the chance last season, whether it was at games or whether it was I was talking to fans or friends that, hey, look, Andre Blake's just not what we need. He's just a liability in the back. Well, I'll tell you what, this game, Andre Blake looked like the Andre Blake of old. If he keeps that up, Andre Blake's going to be in for a contract extension. Yeah, he's been linked to Europe in the past and everything. Yeah, if he gets back to his best that he was when he won the league goalkeeper of the year, then yeah, sure, he can go back to Europe and everything. But, we got to take it one game at a time. That LAFC game, he was great. I think he made 8 saves in that game. This game against New York City, he made 7 saves this game. A great fingertip save on Habar in the 86th minute, I think it was, 87th, one of those minutes, near the end of the game. I forced the ball out for a corner. I thought that ball was going in. And, Andre Blake comes up big. He surprised me and everything with that save. And like I said, I'll be the first to admit, I'll critique him and everything. And, Andre Blake was a liability and everything. But in this game, Andre Blake really saved us. He came up big on a Mackay Stevens chance. He was 1-on-1 with Andre Blake in the 95th minute. Andre Blake came up and saved well with his legs. And this was the first clean sheet for the Union since July 20th of 2019 against Chicago. And this is our first win over New York City, I believe, in 5 games too. So it's great to see the Union play well defensively, play well in the midfield, get a goal from Ali Bedoya, and just do enough to wrap this game up, hold on to a 1-0 lead, and we'll take it and everything. I said with Andres that Union and New York City are going to be the favorites in this group. Put on 1 or 2, it doesn't matter. Both of these guys are good enough to win the group, and I was thinking New York City's probably going to come on top. And yeah, it's just one game and everything, but the Union, they surprised me. I said they were going to get a draw, and they end up getting a 1-0 win. And us Union fans, we're going to take that every day of the week. So I'll focus on some more of the good. Like I said to you guys a moment ago, Andre Blake, he was huge. Like I said, I think he was player of the game for me. And another thing that I didn't mention about Andre Blake was his distribution was spot on this game. This is a guy where we've seen him give the ball away cheaply, whether he's overthrowing a Union player or whether he's miskicking the ball. Yeah, I think in this game he miskicked the ball slightly, but it did find a Union player. That's the only thing that I could critique about Andre Blake, but he was finding players wide open in the middle of the field where he was just throwing it out to them, and that was able to help start the attack and everything. It's like, where in the world were these New York City players when Jamir Montero or El Brujo to lead the Union out from defense into the attack? I mean, there was just great awareness from Andre Blake, and dealing with the sun all game in his eyes, there was a concern, how are the goalkeepers, how are the defenders, just how are the players in general going to deal with the sun rising right in their eyes and everything? And Andre Blake, he did not scare me one bit at all in this game, and our props to Andre Blake for having a huge game, saving the Union. And I think if Andre Blake can keep this up, I think all the people that were hating on Andre Blake, like I said, myself included, I think we're all going to be quiet and everything and say, yeah, Andre, you might have had an injury. Who knows what was going on with you last season, but it's so great to have you back. Number 2, El Brujo, and this was a great game by him as well. Back-to-back games against LAFC, it was great. Minus the foul on Morales where we heard the Union players, hey, no foul, no foul, no foul. And Martinez is like, yeah, watch this, foul. Gets a yellow card. I love the aggression. He was winning headers. He made 3 great tackles. Yeah, his passing could use some work. Yeah, he needs to control the fouls because, guys, I think we found our defensive midfielder. This is a guy that is not afraid to win the ball back. He's a guy, he's going to rough you up and everything, but he's got to lay off of getting the yellow cards because we can't afford El Brujo to get a red card and we'll be down 10 men. So it was smart of Jim to get Warren Creval in the game so El Brujo doesn't pick up another yellow card, which would then give him the red card. So I was just really, really impressed with El Brujo. Like I said, the only thing I can really nitpick on him was his passing could have been a little bit better. And that yellow card that he got was stupid. But other than that, this is a guy that us Philadelphia Union fans are going to be loving for a very, very long time. And the thing that I love is when Ernest Tanner signed him, he's like, yeah, El Brujo is going to be a project. Don't expect him to contribute right away. Well, this guy has been a big contributor our last 2 games against LAFC and now New York City. And the third bit of good news I will say is Jamir Montero, I thought had a really, really good game. Jim Curtin said, yeah, Jamir was looking a lot sharper than he did the first 2 games. He's looking a lot sharper than he did when we first started preseason. And this was by far Jamir's best game, in my opinion. He made 5 tackles this game. He linked up well with Brendan Aronson. This is the Jamir Montero that we saw last season. Winning the ball back in the final third when the Union turned the ball over, linking out well with his teammates, making good runs, getting himself out of tight spaces with good dribbling skills. You love to see. This is the player that we made our highest paid player ever. This is what we expect every game from Jamir Montero, where, you're not going to get this every game. I get that and everything, but more times than not, like we saw last season, this is the type of performances you're going to get from Jamir Montero, and we're all for it. We are all here for it, and He definitely did control things in the middle of the park for the Union. Yeah, he turned the ball over a couple of times and everything, which, that's just a part of his game and everything. He's a creator and everything, but the thing that I love about Jamiro is if he turns the ball over, he's not going to jog back. He's going to run right back to get that ball back. He picked up a yellow card, which I thought was a stupid yellow card because he got all ball first. And I make fun of Baltimore Ravens fans all the time for complaining about the refs, so I really don't want to complain about the referees and everything. But yeah, the referee could have been better and everything. And like I said, I don't want to be a Baltimore fan and complain about the ref and everything. So none of the guys got a red card and everything. Yeah, the yellow cards that El Brujo and Jamiro picked up probably weren't deserved, but they were given, and they didn't get any red cards, and they controlled their temper, and hey, that's what you love to see and everything. So I will go into the bad, and honestly, guys, I'm honestly just nitpicking the bad because there really was no bad, in my opinion. I mean, there were a couple moments where, like, this is a little bit shaky, like in the 72nd minute. New York City, they sent in a cross. Kai Wagner ducked out of the way and let the ball bounce to Tinnerholm. But Kai did well. When he missed the header, he was able to block the shot and everything. So props for Kai for just getting right back in position, ready for the shot, able to throw his body in front of it, block it. Kai was excellent going down the left side of the field, threw in a couple good crosses, which I guess brings me into point number 2. Casper, he did look a little bit rusty. Like I said, Kai put in so many good crosses today. He put in a great ball earlier in the game in the 6-yard box. Casper should have been there. That should have been an easy goal for the Union to be at 1-0. But his timing was off, and we saw Ali Bedoya play a good through ball to Casper. Casper did finish a shot, which props to Casper for finishing a shot, but he was a tad offside, so hopefully with more training, with Santos coming back into training, who we all know is going to be his striking partner and everything, hopefully just Casper can get back to the form he was in last season, which I have every reason to believe he will. And I hope you guys do as well. And I guess the last thing I'll nitpick again is El Senor. He just didn't seem like El Senor. Like I said, we all know he's better coming off the bench than he is starting. He looked slow when he was trying to dribble. He took a couple bad touches, but other than that, I mean, I really don't have anything to nitpick. So I guess I'll just wrap it up and say the Union were excellent in the first 10 minutes of this game. They looked a lot more awake than New York City were. They did enough to shut down Morales and Ebar, who were the 2 danger men for New York City, in my opinion. Yeah, a lot of the attack for New York City was coming down the left side of the field, which would have been Ray Gaddis' side. And yeah, if I wanted to nitpick Ray Gaddis, I guess I could and everything, but he didn't hurt us. Yeah, there was times where Bedoya or El Brujo had to come over and help Ray defend and everything, but he didn't kill us. And more times than not, Ray is not going to kill us in the game. Yeah, we want more from him going down the right side of the field. I think he completed like 40 passes this game. So the attack was definitely starting with Ray Gaddis finding Bedoya, finding El Brujo to send Aronson or El Senor out wide and everything. But guys, there's nothing to complain about. I thought the Union were in better shape than New York City. I thought they were in better shape than Orlando and Miami on Wednesday night. And let me remind you guys, both Orlando and Miami were down in Disney before the Union. And I believe both of those teams were training in their home markets before the Union were allowed to, because as we remember, the Union had to go to Delaware, and then a couple weeks ago, they were allowed to go back to Chester and finally start training in Chester. So, and guys, 3 big points for the Union, for the league, and this is a big 3 points to put the Union tied for first in the MLS's back tournament. So, guys, the last segment of the show is my favorite. It's called Blunder of the Week. And like I said earlier, if you're new to the show, this is your first time listening, Blunder of the Week is a segment where I pick something that happened during the week that is a blunder, and I basically just talk about that moment, describe it, and say why I think it was the worst moment from the week. So, my blunder of the week goes out to the people bringing out the stretcher for Andres Reyes when he got hit in the throat by Dom Dwyer. Now, I don't think Dom tried to injure Andres on purpose. I think Dom is a physical striker who makes the game uncomfortable for defenders. We're definitely going to see that a lot when the Union take on Orlando in the third game. We've seen that in the past where Dom Dwyer is just a physical striker and everything, and center backs just want the game easy to them, and Dom does not make it easy. And I think we can all agree Dom Dwyer, if you watch this game, should have seen a yellow card earlier in the game for a foul on Reyes, and, you know, he never got the yellow card. And then he made a couple more rough challenges, never got the yellow card. And I think if Dom Dwyer would have got those yellow cards earlier in the game, maybe this could have been prevented. Maybe he would have been a lot more conservative making these harsh challenges. But again, it goes out to these guys bringing out the stretcher. I mean, I think it took like 5 minutes for the stretcher to come out for Reyes. That's just unacceptable. It's like when a player is seriously injured, seriously on the ground, that's not breathing properly and everything, you want these guys right there on the scene. You want them to get him loaded, to get him carted off to the hospital and everything. And luckily, like I said in the introduction, you know, he's okay. And hopefully, you know, since he had to leave the bubble. Hopefully when he takes his COVID test, he tests negative and he's able to continue in this MLS is back tournament for Inter Miami. But if we see any more injuries throughout this tournament, hopefully the paramedics are just going to be a lot more swift in action when somebody's down hurt and everything. I mean, you hate to see it and everything, and all the Euro snobs are going to find this moment and say, hey, look, this doesn't happen in our league and everything. Our guys would have been right on the scene, and this player wouldn't have been suffering and everything. And I think we're going to see a lot of that this tournament, where your fans that have never watched MLS before, where your Euro snobs are like, might as well check out MLS and everything. This tournament sounds interesting. Or just maybe your casual soccer fans are going to tune in and everything, and they're going to be critiquing what they see in this tournament. They're going to critique every little thing. And look, we all know MLS isn't perfect. We all know that it has a long ways to go, but this NYC versus Union game, I thought it was a lot better of a game than the Orlando and Inter game. And I think this is going to be a very, very successful tournament. I think we're going to be up for a lot of surprises. And now you're seeing the national media pick the Union as favorites to go in and win this league. And I'm all here for it. I know you guys are too. And I can't wait to see the next two games for the Union. I tweeted, I just can't believe after 4 months we're finally back. The Union are finally playing soccer. And yeah, it sucks that we can't be in Chester watching the team, but we're watching them on TV. We're cheering them on and everything. And that's the next best thing in my opinion, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this episode. So if you guys aren't following the podcast on social media, just follow on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Free Kick Pod. Go ahead and search for The Free Kick. If you can't find that, type in The Free Kick, Todd Lewis, wherever you get your podcast, it will show up. And go ahead and check out the website, thefreekickpodcast.com. And that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you guys for taking about 40 minutes out of your day listening to the episode. I know you guys enjoyed that New York City game as much as me. And here we go to the next episode. I believe it's either going to be Jordan Floret, who, if you guys are familiar with the podcast from when I was doing the Premier League and everything, you would know he's an author who just released his brand new book, Red Wine and Arepas, which is a story on Venezuelan soccer. Super excited for him to come back on the pod to talk about his book and everything. And if I get somebody else on before Jordan, then odds are it's going to be a Orlando City fan, and we'll talk about the Orlando City versus Union game. But, with that said, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.